Guys, if you're listening or watching this podcast, unless you're a stupid wee hater, you're a fan of the podcast. But if you want to get more from it, you feel like, do you ever just get a watermelon and then you just feel like you have to do a lot of cutting to get a wee bit of flesh, but there's a lot of other parts of the watermelon that you're not seeing or you're not getting use out of, and you're like, oh fuck, I wish I could get more out of this watermelon. See the Sly Guy Podcast as a watermelon and get over to patreon.com/Sly Guy Podcast, where you get pips, you get seeds, you get rinds, baby, you get all the works. You get a guest podcast on a Friday, you get an extra Sly Boy you get the extra, not the extra Sly Boy podcast, you get the extra Sly Guy podcast. The extra Sly Boy could be something entirely different on a Monday. On a Tuesday, you might get dog walks with Davey. I have a backlog and I still haven't bothered my ass to get those guys out, but they'll be there. On a Wednesday, you get an early release of the podcast. And hey, on a Thursday, you'll get something else too. We're working it out, we're figuring it out, but all the extra magic is over there on patreon.com/Sly Guy Podcast. So go over and subscribe now for as little as £2. It's like buying me, I don't even know what's £2. Buy me a Freddo or some shit, that's probably Mars bar ice cream, that kind of thing. Or me, since I'm a physique guy these days, like buy me a couple of bags of kale or some shit, or like organic kale, because that's always dear as fuck. But get to patreon.com/Sly Guy Podcast, enjoy the party. Guys, there's a fella and I know, and the guy's doing a show in the Ulster Hall on Saturday the 10th of September 2022. It's my brand new show, Bits and Pieces, like the Artemisia classic tune. I can't get that high, but you know what? And it's my new stand-up hour, and I can't wait to do it. It's going to be the best hour I've done to date. And if you want to be a part of it, is it going to be filmed? I don't know. Is it ever going to be seen? Who knows? It could be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But what I'm saying is, if you want to experience that in your life for a one-off in person, get to the Ulster Hall on Saturday the 10th of September. You can get tickets for the show via the link in the description of this video or this audio podcast, whatever way you consume this content. The link is there. So that's Saturday 10th of September 2022 at the Ulster Hall, or if you're French, Le Hall d'Ulster. Come see my new show now. The Sly Guy Podcast is brought to you in association with Summertime, and summertime means one thing: beer. And if you want a good beer, if you want a fresh beer, if you want a crisp beer, if you want a tasty beer, you want a Modest beer. And that's why the podcast is brought to you in association with our friends and yours, Modest Beer. Modest, as you know by now, say it with me guys, they're a little independent brewery based in not Hollywood anymore, but they originated here. You want to know more about Modest, you want to buy some of their swag, this isn't Modest outfit at all, this is a Giacomo special, and I realise that when I put it on now, the horizontal lines don't do me any favours, but Modest merchandise will do you favours, both on the eye and on the mind. So go to www.modest.co.uk to check out the range of merch, and also order yourself a case of beer, because that's what Modest are all about, beer. Follow them on all the social media handles too, at Modest Beer. Guys, sit back, relax, take your trousers off, pull your pants down, even take your pants off and put them on your head for all I care, but enjoy this episode of the Sly Guy Podcast. I was going to say there, stick your pants in your mouth, but that sounds really vulgar and dirty. I don't mean that. Just have a nice time. Fucking listen to the show.
I'm the Sly Guy.
Guys, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Sly Guy Podcast. Before I start, I realise this t-shirt wasn't a good choice, right? I got this t-shirt because it tried to be a little bit outside the box. I tried to change my style a little bit. I always wear black. I'm always dark. I'm always looking plain, boring. My wife was like, you look stupid in the podcast. You look stupid. You look like you have no fashion sense. You look like a boring big fat slob pig guy. I said, hey, there's no need to insult my personality, my appearance and my weight, and not once give me any sort of positive or negative critique on my attire. So what you've done is physically insult my actual body, but not critique my fashion. So she said, listen, why don't you try something a little bit different, a little bit lighter, a little bit fresher? So I did. I ordered this t-shirt off that very popular French online boutique store, Giacomo. and Giacomo sent me this top, and I realise I look like a big grown-up version of Pugsley from the Addams Family. Like, look at it. The horizontal lines also make my tits look less like pecs and more like full-on tits. I look like I've just got full-on tits. And I don't know about any guys out there that listen to this podcast. Whenever you go out and you buy a shirt, one of the requirements you do not go all in for is like, hey, I want this shirt to make it look like I've got big old tits. Like, not even pecs, just tits. Like, my pecs used to be a little bit more like V shapes. Like, you know, they used to be. Now they're just big slobs of tit. And I mean, I've nothing against tits. Like if anything, you know, I'm a fan of them. But on me, not so much. So I'm just getting over the fact that I look stupid. I'm just getting over the fact that we've just finished celebrating the glorious 12th. Now, I know some people be like, that's what it's called, isn't it? I, for one, spent my 12th just inside. I just, like, because to me, now again, this might split the room, and this is the beauty of having an opinion, right? Is you can say something, you can use the word glorious 12th, and then in the very next breath go, but every year it sort of reminds me of the Purge. Every year the 11th night comes, I get home, I board my windows, I batten down my hatches, I put locks everywhere, and I just hide for 24 hours till the annual purge passes, and then I sort of go out again to get like a newspaper and some pure orange juice or whatever. You know, I like pure orange juice, I like newspaper. I need eggs. My wife went shopping today, and I went to say, here, Catherine, can you grab some eggs? And you know what I said? Can you get me rice cakes and grapes? So I fucked myself there. But yeah, every 12th I usually try to lay low. Now, I used to live in an area that was right beside a bonfire, and I let's be honest, I'm a big scaredy pants, right? I get really fucking stressed out about everything. I'm one of these guys who will automatically think of the worst thing that could happen as opposed to, you know, maybe it'll be alright. I go, oh no, this is going to be an absolute disaster. Such and such will happen. This will be dry. Oh my god, they're gonna burn my house down. And a true story, my old house that was beside the bonfire site, I made the stupid mistake of having a wooden gate between my driveway and my backyard. Now, I say I made the choice of wooden gate. I bought the house. The wooden gate was already erect whenever I bought it. Now, whenever I sold the house, the wooden gate was no longer erect. It was flaccid. And I don't know if that's the correct term to use for a gate, but the gate was flaccid. It had broke, it had flopped down, and I had to, like, you know, artificially erect it. You know, I had to pretend it was able to be erect when I sold the house, and then a few weeks later I drove past the Cura and it was down. I was like, oh no, I've really mugged these guys who bought the house. But my point being is, I had a wooden house, and my biggest fear, or wooden house, shit, I had a wooden gate, and my biggest fear was that the wooden gate would be stolen and people walk past and go, that would look good in our bonfire, bro, you know. And then I'd be like, oh, wouldn't though? I would, mate, we're fucking. And then they go, oh, and your car would look good in it too, mate, bro. And I'd be like, oh no, please don't. So what I would do every year in my old house was drive through the wooden gate, hide my car, go inside the house, close the curtains, double lock the door, and just hope for the best. Not sleep, because the noise of the top DJ, like, you know, Tiesto plays at this bonfire every year, Tiesto and Calvin Harris, and it was just hard to sleep because people are out doing celebrating, which is fine. If that's your culture and you celebrate, by all means do it. But it's very loud, and I get really stressed out by too loud noises, you know. So that was a dramatic experience. So over the last 12th, now this is what's funny here is I'm going to tell you this because I am a guy who likes to be honest, but also I like to ruin any sort of facade that people may have to think, you know, this is an up-to-date podcast. I'm recording this on the 4th of July. The 4th of July, National America Day. Big shout out to all the Yanks out there. If you're listening to this again on the 14th, so 10 days later, this podcast will be out. But here's the thing. I'm going on holidays. You can see I'm wearing my Pugsy shirt. I'm feeling alright. I'm going on holidays, and then I'm moving out of the studio. So you may or may not get some guest episodes over the week. You know, in fact, this isn't the 12th episode. I'm just fucking talking shit. This episode's going out this week. This episode's going out on Thursday. I'm a dunce, but it's fun to talk about the 12th. Ben will be sitting listening to this in the attic going, oh my god, why does this guy even live? Like, what's his problem? No, there will be a guest episode next week because I'm going on holidays and then I'm moving out of this office, so we need to kind of bank podcast in this studio space, you know, and like make it look like we're kind of up to date until just 1 week you'll be like, boom, there's a new studio, and you'll be like, that was a very seamless turnover, when in reality it'll be about, you know, 4 weeks worth of planning, moving, restructuring, painting, decorating, clearing out this old space, filling in any holes that we may have left. And I say holes, you're probably thinking like nails and stuff. I mean glory holes. This office is just plundered with glory holes. Like, you would think I had bought this gaff off the Pet Shop, but you think this was the Pet Shop Boys office before I got it, because they're guys that love glory holes. You know, they're odd guys, weird fashion sense, which is rich coming from me, but one thing you're sure about, those guys love glory holes. You know, could have made a joke and said, hey, it was Tim McGarry's office, and you know, and instead of just the hole in the wall gang, it was a glory hole in the wall gang. I missed that and I said Pet Shop Boys first. Stupid. But Tim McGarry has been in this office, and he did suspiciously look at the glory hole and be like, that's a good idea, maybe do one of those up in Belfast. Worst impression ever. He'll hit me next time I see him. But yeah, so we're good, and this is what we're at. So I hope everyone listening is like, this is a fun time, because when you do listen to this, I'll be on holiday. I'll probably be en route to my holiday, so while you're listening to this, I'll probably be in, like, I don't know, because again, I thought it was out next week. This is a total shambles. This is maybe this is just the breakdown that I'm having, you know. I was going to say this, that, well, next week when you listen to my podcast with Andrew Ryan, I'll be in transit to my holidays. I'm going on a boat because everyone's cancelled all the planes. COVID's fucked everything. And I was like, why is COVID cancelled all the planes? The answer is obviously because all the staff have been laid off, and it's just a nightmare. So we're going on a boat, an overnight boat, me, my wife, my 2 girls, a 4-year-old and 1-year-old. I may crack, you know. That could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. So whilst you are listening to this or the guest episode, there'll be next week with Andrew Ryan. Big man's probably just losing hair, getting stressed out, having a terrible time. But I'm feeling honestly good this week. If you listen to the guest or the extra podcast on Monday there over on Patreon, you will have heard I was doing a lot of gigs. You know, I was predicting a total wipeout for myself, because I always find that when I do a load of gigs in a row, my body's like, yeah, you know X amount of dates are in your plan. You know, you're doing, you know, say 5 shows, and you're like, yeah, you power through that. Then when you have no shows, your body just goes, you're dead now, mate. You're totally exhausted. You get a cold, you're busted. But today I feel pretty good. You know, today was a fun day. It's a nice day weather-wise, so I went out, had a nice walk with the dog, brought, you know, the baby out with me too. That was a lot of fun. And then I took Holly to her summer scheme. So there you go. That's I'm just being a parent now. You know, even though I'm a full-time comedian and I should be writing stuff and I should be replying to emails and doing, I'm here doing this for what keeps saying next week when it's actually in 2 days' time. So what we can do now, since it's a solo episode and I've recorded about 40 podcasts already today, is just do the old classic of going on the BBC and see what's going on. Oh no, Tim Westwood has a little bit of a complaint against them. Let's see what they're saying. The BBC has revealed that a complaint against former Radio 1 DJ Tim Westwood had previously been referred to police. The complaint's one of 6 the corporation now says it has received about alleged bullying or sexual misconduct by Westwood. No evidence of complaints be found at the time. Oh, so BBC are like, there should be no complaints against Westwood. They're like, we'll look into it. Yes, 6. People don't like West, which, by the way, you know, I can understand. Like, Westwood's a weird guy, you know what I mean? See if you are like if you are an urban DJ, try to not look, you know, like you're a smicked out guy. You know, like Westwood doesn't look like he is a hip hop DJ. If you looked at Westwood, he looks like the kind of guy that you would see sitting on a gambling machine in a bookies in the Shankill. You know, he looks like the kind of guy that spends all days in the fruit machine. Bollocks. Reaches him another coin. He's that look about him, and then when he finishes doing that, he delivers Chineses. You know, say delivers Chineses, he looks like the kind of guy that would drive around, you know, a girl of questionable age to deliver the Chineses, and he would just drive about in a wee souped up car. You know, he would have his car lowered, he would have a Saxo, it'd be lowered with blacked out windows, it would stink of weed, and you just hear groovy baby, because it's the way he speaks. That's his voice, and he says shit like Austin Powers says. Yeah, baby, I'm horny. Westwood, weird guy, right? I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen Westwood live in concert. It's an experience. I have seen Westwood live. I saw him in BCM when I was 18, right? I was there. I went to, like, I was in Magaluf, like when I finished school, so it'd be 18. Me and my group of mates went to Magaluf for 2 weeks, which in hindsight is absolutely fucking mental. Like 2 weeks on a lad's holiday, drinking every day. Like, why did my dad not go to me? Go for 4 days, mate. I was like, nah, we're going for 2 weeks, 14 days in Magaluf, drinking every night. Like, see now, look, like if I die, that's probably a large percentage influence on the fact that I would die. But also, you know, if I die and I don't end up in heaven, if I end up in hell, my hell would be, you're going on a lad's holiday in Magaluf for 14 days. I would just die all over again. It was horrific. So we were there, like pre-drinking 10 glass a night, which was probably the cheapest fucking vodka you get your hands on. But they were the good old days. You know, back when you were 18, like almost fucking half my life ago. Jesus. But we went to BCM, right? Westwood was doing a set. Now, there was all other luminaries there playing other nights. You had legends of the music scene, like, you know, proper A-list recording artists. People like the MC Romeo from So Solid Crew, DJ Sammy, these kind of guys playing at BCM. This night, Westwood's on, right? And obviously at the time, wasn't a sex pervert, but also I was a big fan of like hip hop music at the time. You know, I enjoyed some of those guys. I enjoyed Nelly. I enjoyed a bit of 50 Cent. You know, I enjoyed stuff like that. I was a pretty much big. You know, not a lot of people have heard of these guys that I listened to at the time. You know, Dr. Dre, whatever. But I liked hip hop music and thought, yeah, it'll be a good night to go and see Westwood. So we were there to see Westwood, and like obviously he played all the tunes and whatever, and he would do a wee bit in the mic, you know, and try and get the people hyped up. And he genuinely said this, right? To get people going on the night, he stopped and he was like, ladies, and then the girls were like, way, and then he said this phrase which to this day stays indelibly etched in my brain. Like, it's stuck there, and I still sometimes go, what did he what did he expect to happen there? And this is what he said. He goes, ladies, I want to see your pussies in the sky. I remember standing there with my mates and a glass of very questionable Sex on the Beach, going, pussies in the sky. Does he? Like, logistically, like, what's he, like, how does that happen? Or like, women just going to be like sitting there, like reaching down, trying to grab their flaps and just lift it up to be like, or like, does he expect, you know, the only other way I could think about them doing that is to have unbelievable athleticism and just like do a handstand on their walk on their hands, so their fannies are kind of up in the air a little bit. But then again, that's not going to be sweet, because in that case you're just going to have loads of athletic women who've been kicking about Magaluf probably all day in the heat with just their minges and nose height, you know. So that's going to be a wee bit of an experience in the club to see, you know. You'd be like, oh my god, something eating scampi fries. It's gonna be horrendous. But true to God, I swear on my life, right, there was a guy there with his bird, right, and the guy was of similar physique to Westwood, and the girl was of a similar physique to me, right? And this guy, when I say he tried so hard, like this guy tried hard to help his girlfriend get her pussy in the sky. Like this guy, he lifted her and he was trying to, like, I don't know, it's like it was like, you know, when a dog swallows something it shouldn't have, you fucking trying to fucking poke that up and you're fucking patting the dog. He was trying to like lift her, but trying to like lift her vanny up, but she was about 16 stone and he must have been 7, you know, stone, not years old, but he was lifting her up and it was just not happening for him. And then Westwood just was sort of like looked at him and went like, not you, baby. So basically what I'm saying is I can see why Westwood may or may not have allegations made against him, because he's scooting around telling women to do ridiculous things. Put your pussies in the sky. No, Westwood, keep your pussies at waist height with your feet in the ground. I don't want your pussies at waist height with your hands on the ground, because there you go, that's another thing. When you wouldn't, the pussies wouldn't be that much higher if you were to even do a handstand, unless you're like able to like climb up on the fucking the fixtures in the nightclub. Unless you're like able to climb up to another level, your pussy's not going into the sky. Unless you're friends with Elon Musk and you're like, listen Elon, I need you to help me get my pussy in the sky here. I don't want you to be Elon Musk today. I want to be Elon Muff. Alright, I want you to shoot this box into the sky because Westwood asked it, you know. And then what would he do if they were, you know? That's my next question. Like, what if that was achieved, what's Westwood going to do other than be like, oh well, there's some pussy in the sky there, nice. Like, just, yeah, that's all he'd have to do. Nice one. He's not getting anything from it, you know what I mean? Very weird guy. But this is the beauty. This is the beauty of not knowing, or recording too many podcasts in a day, that you just you don't know what you're going to talk about. And I just done a great episode there for that's going to be out next week with Andrew Ryan. It was a lot of fun. But now I'm just like trying to like do this podcast now, but not make it a total fucking waste of time, because I won't be able to get back to do another podcast. So this is the joy, you know, this is the joy of having to do so many podcasts and then go on my holidays, you know. Again, that's where we're at, so it's all good. I hope you guys enjoy this this studio, and if you like the guest episodes and whatever else, you should be made aware that there's going to be more guest episodes coming over the next few weeks. There are some pretty good guests coming up over on Patreon, and there's some pretty good guests going to just be on the regular podcast, and it's actually been quite fun recently. I don't know if you get, because sometimes, right, whenever you do a podcast, you have little peaks and you have little troughs, and sometimes you're like, fuck me, why did I even bother my arse to do this? Sometimes you get people, you know, commenting on podcasts, and sometimes you're like, it annoys you a bit, you know, because obviously there's a bit of effort goes in to doing a podcast. You don't just fucking do it, and like it's not like you know, it's not just something you just casually pop in and do. There's a bit of planning to it, a bit of organisation, it's a bit of work. So whenever you get people just fucking being fucking snarky, you just go fuck off. It used to annoy me a bit. Now I'm kind of like, what? Look at this guy's life, you know. If you're only sort of sitting there commenting on a podcast like this, you know, this is so shit, you're a loser, you know, you're a nerd. So I think at the minute that's kind of fun that I'm just putting out stuff and people are liking the guest episodes. They're liking the sort of mixture of live or of guests and just solo podcasts. So I enjoy that, and I just want to say to the patrons who are being a lot more interactive at the minute with sort of listeners' questions for the extra Sly Guy podcast, you know, putting questions out there for guests. I appreciate it. You know, it's actually helping the podcast get better. So I'm hoping now that once we move into a new space, we'll redesign or reconfigure the setup so as it makes, you know, there's more room for shooting a podcast. There's better setup for the guests, whether that's, you know, a different audio setup, maybe a couple of camera options. It'll come. So yeah, it is fun, and you know, this week generally has been pretty fun. You know, it's nice getting, like, to do podcasts with guests are so much easier than doing podcasts solo, because you just have a chat. You know, that's ultimately what podcast is, isn't it? Just a wee chat. And next week's regular podcast with Andrew Ryan was a lot of fun. This week's guest episode over on Patreon, it has myself and comedian Ishan Akbar, who, you know, is a stalwart on the Have a Word podcast. He's been on QI, Mock the Week. You know, he's probably going to be on a few other things soon, but I'm not allowed to say what. And he was over doing something and came onto the podcast, and it was 10 out of 10. You know, the Patreon episode, it was one of the most I've ever laughed at anything ever. So hopefully that you guys over on Patreon will listen to it, enjoy it, have a nice time, think to yourselves, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? That was a lot of fun. And then hopefully that's what you get back. So yeah, it's exciting times. Moving the studio will be a lot of fun. Going on holiday will be a lot of fun. And then just getting ready for the big Ulster Hall show. All a lot of fun. All a lot of fun. So that's where we're at. I'll go into questions here now, because again, I don't want to just drag this on for the sake of it, you know. So we'll go into the questions and see what people are asking. You know what gets me? See when people are complaining about the podcast. It's so funny. Is this just on Patreon? Yes. Patreon's too quick, guys. Go on over. It's a nice time. Let's see the questions. Oh yes, by the way, if you need to, I'll mention at the end actually. Where are the questions? This is the content that people come to see. John Joe has asked, how was Tommy's first set? So what he's asking about, you may know boxer Tommy McCarthy, former European champion of the Europe, I nearly said of the world, but Europe's Europe, right? He's a cruiserweight boxer. He tried stand up there at a gig I was at on Saturday night, and honestly, he absolutely smashed it. You know, it was a really funny set. Obviously, when you see someone doing their first gig, you're always rooting for them. You know, 9 times out of 10, unless the person is an asshole, you want them to do well. And Tommy's top guy, you know, and to see, you know, somebody go from like an elite level of athletic performance into an elite level of mental performance was quite a thing to see, you know. And I thought it was one of the best first sets I've ever seen. You know, he really did well. The crowd loved him. He had a lot of funny bits, a lot of bits that he can build on. I thought he was really great, and it was good to see. It's nice to, you know, see good new acts coming on the scene, and he's a fun guy to hang about with, is our Tommy. So yeah, his first set was tremendous. Joe has said, why is everything I'll not read that out, Joe. I'll not read that out, Joe, because it is Sly, and it's not my opinion. It's something you have asked, and I think you're being silly. Patrick has said, do you have any more live podcasts scheduled? It must have been an amazing experience for you having your kids see what you do live to a crowd. A very proud moment, I'm sure. Can't wait to get home to see some live NI comedy. Yeah, so if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you'll know Patrick, formerly known as the Belfast Guy in China. He's a guy who, you guessed it, sort of a similar ilk in terms of naming as Psychic Glenn. You know, it does kind of very much do what it says in the tin. Glenn is called Glenn. He's Psychic Glenn. Patrick was a guy from Belfast, living in China. Belfast Guy, China. But now Patrick is coming home again, and I'm interested to see. You know, Patrick, I might get you on, because I'll be keen to talk to you about your travels and whatnot, and living through a bloody pandemic in China would be pretty cool. But yeah, he's referencing the fact that I had my daughter Holly come and see me do stand up for the first time, which was, you know what, it was a weird experience, because we had decided to go to this. Well, I was booked to do the Stendhal Festival, so it's a pretty cool festival. It takes place in Limavady every year. Now, you're probably on paper going to go, weird that you said a pretty cool festival taking place in Limavady, because usually, you know, pretty cool things don't happen in Limavady. But Stendhal is always a lot of fun, and this year I was in to do a set at it, and it was really good. You know, the actual experience was fine. You know, it was a good time. I brought Holly. She was in her wee festival gear, had her makeup done, got some nice food, played some, you know, did some games, went on some rides. She had a great day. I then had to do stand-up at the end of that, which is always a weird thing, because I've done Stendhal before, and don't get me wrong, I love doing it, and I will want to do Stendhal every single year from now until the end of time, alright? But every single time you do it, the best you can do, I have found out at Stendhal, is fine, because it's always like they say on it, it's an over 16s event, but there's always like a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old sitting front row being like, "Mummy," and the mummy's like, "Yeah,
Why is that big fat man up there? It looks like Mick Foley. Talking about sucking his dad's cock for? What's a cock, mate?"
And then it's like, so I don't like to do but naughty material, you know. And then whenever I do PG stuff, I'm like, I just don't think that's that funny. I just not a PG guy, you know. I like to be rude, I like to be on the nose a bit. And then whenever you have to do like PG sets, you're like, you know, a bit sort of conflicted. And then as much as I would want to do, you know, if I had just gone, fuck it, I'll just do my regular set. On that occasion, my wife was there with my 4-year-old, so that would have been very not disrespectful, very, what's the word? Very my brain is just mush. Not disrespectful, very. This is the most embarrassing moment of my podcast life. I cannot think of a word. Irresponsible. Thank fuck, brain. Now, the good thing about that is we're on a podcast. Imagine that's on stage. Sometimes that happens when you do stand-up. I just forget a word. But very irresponsible of me to do that. But then ultimately, you know, I got a decent enough reaction. I was happy enough. Say 6 out of 10. When I finished, she came up on stage. She was all buzzing. Got a photo. It was very cute. Now, did I know that whilst I was on stage and I couldn't see her, she needed to go to the toilet? There were no toilets nearby. So Catherine took her around to do a piss. And there was just nothing covering the fact. So basically she was just holding her, just pissing at the side of the stage that everyone in the audience could see. So there's my daughter, who's going to have her big moment of coming on stage, get a photo with her dad. Oh, it's all sweet. Just doing a full piss on the ground beside the stage. So yes, Patrick, it was a very proud moment for me. It was a lovely moment to have, but also it was pretty cringe because there's a 4-year-old pissing. Now again, if anyone's looking at her pissing, kind of pervert, guys, you know what I'm saying? So just gotta leave it at that. Let's see. Naomi has said, she's made a statement. Now, this is Naomi's style now. She makes statements, saying stories. So her statement this week is there anything people can't make money out of? And it's a link, weirdly, to Kieran Bartlett's Instagram. Wow. Sorry, wow. Bloke makes 28 grand a month by letting people wake him up however they want. I mean, this is sweet. Jakey Boom, a full-time social media influencer from Australia's Gold Coast. No, the only Gold Coast is North Down, my friend. Has recently blown up on the video-based platform where he has 520,000 followers thanks to his unusual wake-up calls. A bloke is making money in his sleep by charging people to wake him up, and he's racking up 28 grand a month. Jake Boehm is a social media influencer and came up with a clever way to earn a bit of extra cash and rigged his bedroom up with speakers, lasers and a bubble machine. He then encouraged his followers to pay to wake him up. They can choose whenever the song they like, and it's backed up with an annoying light and a show. Jakey from Australia is now going viral and has racked up all this shit. Like, what sort of way is it? And I have a TikTok user. This is so people do make money in fucking weird ways, but this is the thing again. It's like that old adage of why is there always shit stuff on the TV? Because there's an audience for it. You know what I mean? And now, people are doing things like selling farts and selling dirty pants and everything. There you go, and that's it. So it's a weird old fucking time. It's weird. People are selling these things. Obviously, in my shoes, I'd be like, I would sell anything to just try to, not have to fucking sell tickets flat out all the time. But I'm doing a show, I'm doing a show, I'm doing a show, I'm doing a show. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? Like, if people are stupid enough to pay this guy to wake him up, now that's not as extreme as I thought it would be. I thought that he was actually going to just go to sleep and be like, you can wake me up however you want, and like you could enter his room, like Zappy one. Imagine you just rimmed him. Wake me up however I want, and he's like, just got speakers, but just silence, and you just hear. He's like, oh, what's that? That feels. Wow, this dream I'm having is really good. Why are you licking my ass? Like, he could say I could wake you up any way I want. And that's how I'm going to do it. But what a nice time, eh? Listeners' questions are always a lot of fun. Now, I will have a look at some of the listeners' questions on Patreon because I put a wee call up to get questions for the Patreon episode with Andrew Ryan. But as usual, Andrew actually had to bounce. Now I say bounce, he had his girlfriend with him, and they were actually going on a date. So whenever we were going to record it, they were going on a date together. She had come with him, had to sit through a podcast. I felt sorry for her because, hey, who'd want to sit through a podcast with just two fellas talking shit? And just, she's like, hey, we're supposed to go on a date here. Worst date ever, Andrew. But they bounced, and then I didn't actually answer any of the questions that the fantastic patrons had asked. So I feel like I should maybe look at them now. If some of them are specific to him, I'll just save them and do it on the next one anyway. But of course, Naomi's back on the scene, and I said, if you were to create a new sex position, what would you call it, and how flexible would you need to be to get into it? Well, if I were to make a new sex position, I don't know, I like the idea of taking pre-existing sex positions and changing them up. For example, the 69, where your face is in a gunt, their face is all in and around your dick and balls. Or if you're same sex, it's in and around the same genitalia as what you have, and your face is in and around the same genitalia also that you have. So that's what the 69 is. But I would like to say, just do a stand-up 69. That's like the Tombstone Piledriver, the Undertaker's finisher, the stand-up 69. I think that shows a level of enthusiasm, but also power, like definite quad power. If someone was going to stand up 69 me, that's impressive. Can you imagine? But That would be my position. In fact, I would do the reverse. Like, I don't know what that would be. Instead of a 69, it would be a 66. In fact, it would be a 96. I don't know. A 96 is what I do with my wife at the minute, really, because we sleep top to toe in the bed and she doesn't touch me. But one where the butt's maybe in your face and you're just standing around eating out a butt would be quite funny. I mean, it'd be really weird to see front on, you know. I don't know if have anyone seen, right, just now I speak, I might be talking shit here, but that potential sexual style, right, I'm pretty sure that in Paris Fashion Week or something, a designer designed an outfit, not of a guy just walking around with a full guy's arse in his face, but like fashion with person attached to model. This could be funny. If I just made this up, it's stupid, but let's see. Yeah. So this is tremendous. Somebody has done this is the sexual position I would do, right? This is my sexual position here. Ben, please put this into the podcast. Right, models. When was this done? 2015. Models wear each other down the runway, and you won't believe the photos. Yeah, mental. Let's see. The designer's known for pushing the end. Here's the thing. Hey, fashion designers, just make clothes that look good. Don't be having people attached to other people. Models hit the runway with a number of neutral bodysuits, cloaks, and dresses. Like, what is the functional purpose of a cloak? You know, unless you're Robin Hood, you shouldn't wear a cloak. And the only reason he wears a cloak is to fucking whip it off, to pull out his arrows, to go doink. You know, only in Robin Hood and on the runway in Paris do you wear neutral bodysuits, cloaks, dresses with major draping, asymmetrical hemlines, and parachute-like jumpsuits. Yeah, oh wow, this is a great one. So what I like about this, right, there's one model, and I think her job is to just be hung off other models. So this is, in fact, there's the stand-up 69 right there. Ben, get it out. Stand-up 69, right? This woman walking around. If she was a little bit higher, she could just be literally, oh wow. And this one's even better. How do you keep a straight face when someone's arse is just right in your grill? Like, this woman here is super, like, look at her face. She is focused whilst it looks like somebody's actually burrowing away into her snatch. Like, that would be a fun day at the office, to just, you know, be doing your job whilst being sucked off. But yeah, this is what fashion is. They just put these outfits on and go for it. Now, this is what I like. The designer has been described as unapologetic when it comes to his artistic decisions. He revealed in interviews he likes to stir things up. I'm not good at subtlety, he told Details magazines. If you're not going to be discreet and quiet, just go all the way. Have the balls to shave off your eyebrows, bleach your hair, and put on some big bracelets. That is a lot of fun. Listen, see if you're not going to be you. See you've no fucking balls. Shave off your eyebrows. Alright? Shave off your eyebrows, bleach your hair, and wear a fucking bangle. No. Because who shaves off their eyebrows other than people who are mentally ill? The only people that have their eyebrows shaved off are people who are mentally ill, or people who fall asleep too early at a house party when you're like 15. Shaved eyebrows. Let's see this for style. Is this a thing now that's happening? Oh no. Not a sweet look. Yeah, this guy, obviously Jared Leto, is a guy who shaved off his eyebrows, and hey, does he look sweet? Shocker. No. Oh boy, Jared Leto shaved off his eyebrows for a movie role, and the result is so freaky. Yeah, like, see anyone without eyebrows, it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, I think here's the thing, right? I'll tell you this now. If my Ulster Hall show sells out, afterwards I will shave off my eyebrows in the podcast. There you go. That's the only way I will shave my eyebrows off, is if my Ulster Hall show is a great show and it sells out and I get a standing ovation. I will shave my eyebrows off live in the podcast, and I will let you sponsor me and I'll give money to charity. So there you have it, my sponsored eyebrow shave if my Ulster Hall show sells out. So there you go, get on the link below, sell this to people, tell your mates you gotta buy tickets to this. If this sells out, Dave's going to shave off his eyebrows and donate any money he gets to a charity. And what we'll do as well, we'll put anybody up there with suggestions for charity over on the Patreon. Suggest any charities, and whoever is the sort of the most popular charity or the one that we think would be the best suit, I will donate any money that I get to the said chosen charity. But again, I have to sell at Ulster Hall. You have to buy tickets for me to get rid of these babies, and they might never grow back the same. So that'll be an experience. Now, what I will say is the remainder of these questions on Patreon, which I specifically asked for myself and Andrew Ryan, or as I like to call him, Andre Rion, are exclusively for him and me, you know. So obviously Naomi has asked for a sex position because she's a dirty wee minx, but the rest are specific to Andrew. So what I will do is I will save them for another day. I'll get him back, and we'll do the podcast. So there you have it, guys. That's this week's episode of the Sly Guy Podcast. Was it a classic? Probably not. Is it done? Yes. Do we all have other things to do? Yes. Do you have to listen to it if you don't like it? No. But what we've got out of it is we've learnt a new sex position. We've looked at some pretty weird fashion. We've talked about Westwood. We have also said that if Ulster Hall sells out and goes well, I will shave off my eyebrows and I will do a big donation to charity. A charity of someone's choosing for people with no eyebrows. So guys, follow the link below. Get me to shave my eyebrows off. I'll forget this next week, so you'll have to tell people that I said I would shave my eyebrows off if I sell at Ulster Hall, and then tell people, and if it sells out, the eyebrows are gone. You know, we'll do it publicly too. I'll let you pick who is the shaver as well. And guys, look, have a good week, whatever yous are doing. Hope yous are having a fun time. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want to get more, you want to see more guest episodes, get on over to Patreon. Again, check out the sponsors, Modest Beer. Oh wow, this Glenn's skull is flickering, which is pretty scary. But yes, if you want to know that. By the way, I have an exclusive podcast series over on Patreon too, The Psychic and the Stand-Up with me and Psychic Glenn. The episode of Aaron Butler is up there now, and next Friday the episode with myself, Glenn, and Shane Todd will be there too. We're recording another episode of that this week, and this week's guest episode features the fantastic Ishan Akbar. So guys, have a nice week, look after yourselves, buy tickets to the Ulster Hall show, and don't shave your eyebrows. Bye.
I'm the Sly Guy.